In this video, we are going to compare distortions in vector applications. I'm going to start with Illustrator, and here I'll be concentrating on text gradients. So these are linear gradients, patterns, and also strokes. And let's see what we can get. So here we've got the text, and in order to apply a distortion, you can go to Object, Envelope Distort, and make with several methods. I'm going to make with a warp, and here we've got all the options, and I'm going to just leave it as that. And now we have this thing here. You can take the mesh tool and then distort this further, and just do whatever you like with that. What happens to the text? Is it still editable? You can go to Edit Contents, and then you can edit the text. And if you want to be able to better see that, you can go into Outline View. Let's go back to the preview, and let's take a look at the other things. So here we've got the linear gradient, and I'm going to just apply that distortions, make with warp, just like that. And you see, well, obviously the gradient was not affected here. Let's take a look at more options. If you go into Object, Envelope Distort, and then to the envelope options, there you have several options of how this is displayed and the quality, which you can adjust here. And then also you can distort the appearance. And when you check that, then you can also distort linear fills and get this, and afterwards also edit that, and you see the gradient gets distorted. And the same applies to patterns. Let's start with that pattern. And again, I'm going to those options, distort the pattern fills, and now we can edit this, and you get a nice distorted pattern. Let's take a look at these strokes. If I do the same and add this warp here, then you see, obviously, the stroke didn't get distorted. Let's check out if we add just more distortion, then that doesn't change. Let's go to the options, and you see it should distort the appearance. So the stroke width is an appearance, but it doesn't work. You need to add something here. So let's go to Window, Appearance to open the Appearance panel, and then let's make a double click on it, and then we are in this thing. And now what you need to add here is go to Effect, Path, Outline Stroke. And you see, after you've done that, then you can also distort a live stroke. So this is really live. If you increase the weight, then you get other distortions. These are your options in Illustrator. Let's check out Inkscape next. So again, here we have a text, and in order to have distortions, you have to go to the path effects. And here you see, so text objects are not supported. Now you have two options. You can convert the text to paths. Afterwards, it will be no longer editable, so that's not a good decision. So let's go to Clone. And what you then do is, let's take this, and then we can add a distortion. And there are several. So you can have envelope deformation, a perspective envelope, and lattice deformation. So let's go to that lattice, and then we can go to the node tool and zoom in a little. Let's go into this here, and then we can edit that. And you see, we get the nice distortion of this text, and it's still editable. If we edit this here, then you see that gets adjusted. Now let's take a look at the gradients and the patterns. Let's go to the live path effects, and again, the lattice deformation, and then the node tool. And you see, we get the deformation, but the gradient will not be affected by that. That will not work in Inkscape. And let's go to the pattern, and again, use this. I'm going to use the envelope deformation now, and we have to go here to show that path. And then we can use these, but you see again, the pattern is not affected. Let's take a look at Affinity. Again, we have a text here and can go to Vector, New Warp Group. And here we have several methods to apply. I'm just going to apply a mesh. And afterwards, you can move these mesh points around just like in the other apps. And then again, if you double click that or just take the text tool, you can select the text and you can change it. And also you can edit that mesh. Gradients next. Let's apply again a warp group with a mesh. But as you can see, the gradient will not be affected by this. So we can only add a deformation to the object itself. This one has a hatch fill. So these are vector lines. Let's go to the new warp group, the mesh, and you see we cannot deform that hatch in here. And also there are no more options to add more deformations in Affinity. The last one is a pattern fill. So it's a fill of the type bitmap. So if you select the fill tool, then you have this type bitmap and can add a pattern to that, which is pixel based. And let's go to the mesh. And again, you can see it doesn't get deformed. So we have another deformation which works like a mesh, which is in the pixel editing part of Affinity. But then, of course, it's no longer vector-based, which makes no difference with this bitmap fill here because it's pixel-based already. But the others, of course, it would be a pity if you need to change to that pixel editing mode. These are your options for adding distortions to vector objects in the 3 apps. And as you have seen, the pure existence of a certain function in one app doesn't grant you access to the same options that you have been using with the same functions in another app.